I have a dream, that's all I need.
Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're not just dipping our toes, we're plunging headfirst into one of the most pivotal chapters of the ancient world's grandest epic, the Sabha Parva, the Book of the Assembly Hall, from the mighty Mahabharata. Now, if you've been with us, you'll recall the Adi Parva laid the foundation, the lineage of the Kuru dynasty, the births of the Pandavas and the Kauravas, all setting the stage.
Right, the groundwork.
Exactly. But it's in the Sabha Parva that a tapestry of, well, grandeur, jealousy, deceit, and profound dishonor is woven, truly setting the world on a path to fire.
And that's precisely our mission with this deep dive, you see. It's not enough to simply recount the narrative, as gripping as it is. We aim to go beyond the story and truly unpack the profound significance of these events.
Okay.
How did powerful human emotions like pride and envy, when coupled with rigid notions of duty and, let's face it, cunning manipulation, irrevocably shape not just individual destinies, but the very future of an entire civilization?
Right. It's the why behind it all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll dissect the key turning points, exploring not just what happened, but why it mattered so deeply, and how these ancient lessons about human nature, the exercise of power, and the cascading consequences of our choices, well, they echo with surprising clarity in our world today.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the Pandavas. So, following the division of the Kuru kingdom, they found themselves in a unique position. They had a kingdom, Indraprastha, but they needed to solidify their standing. And to truly mark their arrival, a legendary Asura architect named Maya built something for them that just defied imagination. We're talking about the Maya Sabha, a hall of illusions and wonders.
Yeah.
This wasn't just a new palace, it was a statement, wasn't it?
Absolutely. A massive statement. The Maya Sabha was far more than a grand building. It was like a psychological masterpiece, an architectural declaration of power and prestige. Maya, known for his extraordinary skill,
Right.
crafted a hall designed to inspire awe, yes, but also a degree of, deliberate bewilderment.
It was so.
Well, imagine crystal floors polished so perfectly they appeared to be shimmering pools of water. You'd instinctively lift your garments, right?
Yeah, probably.
Only to realize they were solid ground. And then conversely, actual ponds and waterways were so cunningly concealed or made to look solid that you might just step right into them unexpectedly.
Wow. Okay. Trippy.
Totally. The sources describe walls studded with glowing gems, lamps providing this ethereal light. It created an otherworldly, almost magical atmosphere. Yudhishthira himself, when he saw it, was just utterly overwhelmed.
What did he say?
He's quoted saying something like, "Never have I seen such beauty, such brilliance. Truly this hall shall be the pride of Indraprastha." So this wasn't just about comfort or looks. It was a strategic projection of the Pandavas' growing influence.
Impressing allies.
Exactly. And subtly disorienting potential rivals. It made Indraprastha a true capital, a place of, unparalleled wonder.
And that prestige, that aura of power, it wasn't just confined to their new capital, right? It exploded across Varsha. Guided by none other than Krishna himself, a figure whose wisdom and strategic thinking were legendary, Yudhishthira performed the mighty Rajasuya sacrifice.
So, Rajasuya, yes.
This wasn't just some religious ceremony, it was a profound political statement, like a grand imperial coronation designed to establish his supremacy over all other kings.
Absolutely.
Imagine the scene. Rulers from every corner of the known world, humbled, gathering to offer lavish tributes, gold, jewels, entire elephant brigades. It was a moment of unmatched glory, a visible, undeniable display of the Pandavas at the absolute peak of their power and influence.
You've hit on a crucial point about the Rajasuya. It wasn't merely a ritual. It was a carefully orchestrated assertion of imperial authority, a demonstration that Yudhishthira possessed the moral, military, and spiritual right to be the paramount sovereign.
And Krishna's role was key.
Oh, definitely. His strategic counsel transformed a sacred right into a powerful political act, legitimizing Yudhishthira's claim. However, this kind of unparalleled glory, this shining moment, often casts the longest, darkest shadow. And for the Pandavas, that shadow was Duryodhana. While Yudhishthira stood at the very peak of his power, receiving the homage of kings, Duryodhana, observing the immense grandeur of the Maya Sabha and the success of the Rajasuya, didn't just feel envy, he burned with it.
Just pure jealousy.
Intense jealousy. And this isn't just about a personal failing. It exposes a critical vulnerability in the Kurukshetra, the fragile nature of shared power, when one side achieves such undeniable supremacy. Duryodhana's unchecked envy, intensified by this public spectacle, became a deep structural crack in the kingdom.
Right. It shows how leaders' insecurity can become a real threat.
Exactly. The sources vividly describe him looking around angrily, fists clenched, eyes narrowed in bitterness. Every detail of the Pandavas' triumph fueled his sense of injustice and his own perceived inferiority. This wasn't just a slight. It felt like a direct challenge to his birthright.
Okay, so here's where that festering resentment takes a truly infamous and frankly pretty painful turn. During this magnificent assembly, within the very Hall of Illusions, the Maya Sabha, Duryodhana suffered a public humiliation that would become legendary. Mistaking a perfectly polished crystal floor for a pool of water, he, instinctively lifted his garment.
But you could keep him dry.
Yeah. Then, in a cruel twist, he stepped directly into an actual pool, believing it was solid ground, and fell headlong into the water.
Oh, wow.
Can you even begin to imagine the mortification? The entire court, all these kings and dignitaries whose respect he craved, just burst into laughter.
This incident, seemingly trivial, is actually a profound turning point. It wasn't just a physical fall. It was a catastrophic fall from grace in the most public and humiliating way possible.
And the reactions didn't help.
No, they cemented the shame into this unshakable resolve for vengeance. Draupadi, the queen, is described as smiling faintly. Bhima, always outspoken, was laughing loudly. Even Arjuna, usually more composed, was trying to hide his grin.
Ouch, that's rough.
It was collective public mockery. In a culture where honor and public perception were paramount, this moment just stripped Duryodhana of his dignity. The sources explicitly state that from that day, his jealousy turned into burning hatred.
Right then and there.
In his deep humiliation, he vowed right then and there to destroy the Pandavas. It solidified his resolve, setting him on an irrevocable path. It really shows how, small perceived slights, when magnified by insecurity and public ridicule, can escalate into uncontainable hatred.
Turning personal pride into fuel for conflict.
Exactly. A stark lesson in the power of public shame as a catalyst for war.
So, with that hatred consuming Duryodhana, fueled by that very public shame, it was only a matter of time before he acted. And he found a willing accomplice in his uncle Shakuni.
Shakuni.
The cunning, manipulative ruler of Gandhara, who devised what seemed like a simple game, but was, in fact, a truly cruel and deadly plan. The target. Yudhishthira, the Dharmaraja, known for his adherence to duty, even if it led him into peril.
His Achilles' heel, in a way.
Right. With Dhritarashtra's hesitant consent, Yudhishthira was invited to Hastinapura to gamble. Despite his own misgivings, he accepted the challenge, bound by that rigid code of Kshatriya duty.
And this is where we see the insidious nature of deceit really come into play. The invitation wasn't just a casual challenge. It was a meticulously crafted trap designed to exploit Yudhishthira's known weakness, his inability to refuse a challenge, a core part of Kshatriya Dharma.
And the game itself?
The sources are unequivocal. The dice were loaded. This wasn't a game of chance. It was a game of predetermined destruction. Shakuni was a master of dice.
So Yudhishthira walked right into it.
His dilemma was truly profound. He was caught between his dharma, his duty as a Kshatriya, and the clear, insidious danger lurking in Shakuni's plan. It reveals a critical flaw, perhaps, in his rigid interpretation of duty.
How even virtue can be exploited.
Precisely. It underscores how even the most virtuous can be undone by their own principles when those principles are weaponized against them. And Dhritarashtra's consent, however reluctant, highlights the moral abdication of power. He could have stopped it,
But didn't.
His blind affection for Duryodhana made him complicit, setting the stage for moral decay right at the heart of the kingdom.
And the losses came, relentlessly, one after another, each throw of those rigged dice sealing a more devastating fate. Yudhishthira suffered terribly, publicly, tragically.
It was brutal to watch, apparently.
First, he lost his personal jewels, then his vast wealth, then his entire kingdom of Indraprastha. Then, in an act that must have just torn his soul apart, he lost his brothers Sahadeva, Nakula, Arjuna, and Bhima one by one, staking their freedom and reducing them to slaves.
Unbelievable.
You can just feel the emotional toll, the despair mounting with every turn of this cruel game.
Yeah, the scene in the assembly hall during these losses is described with unbearable tension. You can almost visualize the despair etched on Yudhishthira's face, watching his world crumble, bound by this fatal adherence to a flawed game.
And the brothers.
Bhima, always the more volatile one, was visibly enraged, described as smashing his fist in anger, just radiating humiliation. Arjuna, the disciplined warrior, was so overcome with shame he, lowering his head, couldn't even look up. And then came the unthinkable, the ultimate escalation, a moment that just transcends near loss. Yudhishthira, in his desperation, staked the unthinkable, Draupadi, the queen of the Pandavas.
No!
Yes. The sources tell us she was sitting in her chambers, unaware that her fate was being decided by this cruel, rigged game. This wasn't just a loss of property or status, it was a catastrophic moral failure, reducing a queen, a wife, to a mere stake in a gambler's game.
It just shows how far things had fallen.
Exactly. The moral abyss into which the Kuru court had plunged.
And this brings us to one of the most horrifying and pivotal moments in the entire epic. A scene that just resonates through history. Draupadi, completely innocent, utterly unaware, was dragged into that royal assembly, humiliated before elders and kings alike. But even in that moment of profound degradation, her powerful voice rose, not as a whimper, but like thunder refusing to be silenced.
Her defiance in that moment is truly iconic, a testament to the enduring human spirit against just profound injustice. Draupadi, with incredible strength and, frankly, intellectual clarity, challenged the very foundations of power and tradition.
With that question.
With her profound question to the entire assembly. If Yudhishthira had already lost himself, by what right did he stake me? Am I the property of a slave?
Wow. Just cuts right through.
It wasn't merely an emotional outburst. It was a devastating legal and moral question that exposed the cowardice and complicity of the entire assembly. It forced them to confront the core contradiction between their revered laws of Dharma and the abhorrent reality unfolding before them.
She laid bare the moral bankruptcy.
Completely. The assembly, filled with revered elders like Bhishma and Drona, who usually dispensed wisdom, they just hung their heads in silence. Even Dhritarashtra the king looked troubled, momentarily shaken.
So her words had an impact.
Oh, absolutely. Draupadi's challenge is a masterclass in how a single, powerful voice can shatter the silence of power, even against entrenched tradition. It's a timeless reminder that silence in the face of injustice is often complicity. True power lies in moral clarity and courage.
The hall indeed fell silent, caught between shame and fury. Ultimately, the Pandavas were saved from further immediate degradation only by Dhritarashtra's 11th hour intervention, a temporary reprieve.
Right, but only temporary.
Exactly. In a twisted turn, another game of dice was played, and once more, Yudhishthira lost. The consequence this time was severe and far-reaching. The Pandavas and Draupadi were condemned to exile for 13 long years.
13 years. 12 in the forest, 1 in disguise. Away from their kingdom, their people, their power.
A brutal sentence.
And as the Pandavas and Draupadi, their heads bowed low in deep humiliation, walked away from the palace gates, Duryodhana and Shakuni watched with undisguised, cruel satisfaction.
Just gloating.
Pretty much. This wasn't merely the conclusion of a game or temporary banishment. It was the beginning of the end for an entire era. The narrative concludes with this stark, powerful pronouncement. A hall built for glory became a hall of dishonor.
Chilling.
An insult that no warrior could forgive, a humiliation that no queen could forget. These words perfectly capture the irreparable damage done. If we connect this to the bigger picture, these events weren't just a cause. They were the precise and irrevocable moment the seeds of the great Kurukshetra war were sown.
This was it, the point of no return.
Absolutely. Every act of deceit, every calculated insult, every unchecked emotion, every lost throw of those loaded dice propelled them one step closer to that devastating civilization-altering conflict. It cemented grudges that would fester for over a decade, proving that some wounds, especially to honor and dignity, run too deep to ever truly heal without a reckoning.
And so we conclude our deep dive into the Sabha Parva. We've journeyed from the architectural marvels of the Maya Sabha, a testament to the Pandavas' rising glory, through the unmatched splendor of the Rajasuya Yajna, which declared Yudhishthira's imperial supremacy. We then witnessed Duryodhana's crushing public humiliation, which ignited a burning hatred that would consume him.
Right.
From there, we traced the insidious path of the rigged dice game designed to exploit duty and honor, leading to devastating losses, culminating in the unthinkable staking of Draupadi.
Such a low point.
And finally, we stood with Draupadi as her iconic, powerful stand laid bare the moral failures of an entire assembly. This deep dive into these specific events really reveals the intricate, suffocating web of pride, jealousy, flawed duty, and monumental injustice that didn't just propel a few individuals, but an entire civilization towards an epic war that would redefine their world forever.
And this raises important questions for you, the listener. to ponder long after our conversation concludes. In what ways do the seeds of conflict often get sown, not through grand battles, but through seemingly small acts of disrespect, unchecked ambition, or the exploitation of another's principles? Much like Duryodhana's initial envy.
Good question.
And what enduring lessons does Draupadi's profound question offer us about fundamental rights, about the critical importance of a single voice against injustice, and about the profound, often complicit silence of power, even when faced with ancient tradition and revered elders?
Things to think about.
Definitely. We encourage you to keep exploring how these narratives, though ancient, illuminate timeless aspects of human nature, power dynamics, and the ever-present struggle for justice.